In the long, long ago time when the world was sung into being, there was a dance, a cosmic rhythm. The sacred masculine and the sacred feminine moved as one. They were two notes in a single perfect chord, their energies twined like strong rivers. One was the care and warmth, the other the gentle protector. Pure rain and the fertile ground, they held the universe in a tender, powerful embrace where everything grew under the golden rule. This was the original harmony. This was the pulse of life itself, vibrant and whole. We remember this deep in our bones. Then a shadow fell, a note went sour, the dance faltered. A tear appeared in the fabric of existence. This was the primal fracture, a wound so deep it echoed through all of creation. The masculine and feminine, once partners, were pulled apart. Lies bloomed like a bitter weed. The song of creation, once seamless, now carried a lament. This break was not a small thing. It was a tectonic shift in the soul of the world. It is an ancient ache we still feel today. This fracture is not some distant myth. It lives within us. It breathes in our troubled hearts. We see it in the struggles between men and women. We feel it in our own internal conflicts. The longing for connection, yet the fear of the dogma, the drive to create, yet the impulse of the dark forces that want control. It is the split between our vision and our hearts. It is the chasm between our wild nature and the tamed selves we are forced to become, with brainwash of the ones who spit on the higher laws. This wound is personal, it is societal, it is global. But listen closely, Mama, listen closely, Papa. Even in the deepest wound there is a flicker of life, a memory of the true song. Our souls carry the imprint of that original dance, and they yearn, oh how they yearn to return to it. The healing is not in forgetting the wound, it is in understanding its story, it is in gathering the scattered pieces. It is in daring to sing the notes of reunion. The path back to wholeness is calling to us, it whispers on the wind. The Father Sky, in his original essence, was magnificent. He was the vastness, the clarity, the protective canopy. He was the seed-bringer, the rain-giver, in perfect rhythm with the Earth Mother. He held the stars in their courses. He was the principle of conscious awareness, of structure, of outward energy. He was not meant to stand alone. His strength was in his union with the deep, karmic, fertile feminine. Together they were the architects of all that is beautiful and true. He was a guardian, a partner, a loving presence, but a cold wind began to blow, wind of ego and jealousy. Fear, like a serpent, slithered into the heart of this balance, size and power. The Father Sky, or rather those who sought to define him, began to fear and disrespect all sacred, demanding to be the sun, not the rain. They feared the immense power of the Mother. They feared her cyclical nature, her wildness, her deep intuition that saw beyond the surfaces. They feared what they could not completely control and never understand. This fear was a poison because their purpose was never to understand but protect. Man was never meant to be a woman, and woman was not created to be a man. Lie began to cloud the clear sky, demanding more and more and being less and less grateful for the love and life and more obsessed by size and power they never had over Earth. It began to distort the loving gaze into one of suspicion, then of dominance. This fear birthed the first great crime against the sacred. Stories were rewritten. The Mother was murdered, pushed to the margins, or cast as a villain. Ways to kill her and children gained on creativity through history. The child father that never grew up in truth, that claimed the power of the sun, was elevated but in a distorted form, in denialism of his own actions. We can never truly grow and rise in a lie, it is just not possible, and putting a human will before golden rule is the violation of the life itself. So the ungrateful son wanting to be the sun became the sole ruler, the distant judge, the unyielding lawgiver. The evolution of distortion that continues to this day. His gentle strength was replaced with rigid power, his wisdom was twisted into dogma. The old myths, rich with the dance of equals, were buried deep. New narratives arose, narratives of conquest, of separation. The voice of the feminine was silenced, and with it a part of the masculine soul also withered. The consequences were immense. The father principle itself became wounded, torn between ungrateful children and his love for the mother that gave life to his purpose. It was cut off from its source of nourishment, its balancing counterpart. Instead of a protective embrace, it offered an iron fist. Instead of clear vision, it projected its own shadows, manifesting hell circles of his soul on Earth's sacred ground. This wounded masculine energy then began to shape the world in its image, a world of hierarchies, of competition, of taking without giving back. The father sky, meant to be a loving presence, became a symbol of detached authority. The balance was broken. The heart of the world began to ache. This cosmic fracture, this ancient wound in the sky and earth, did not remain distant. It seeped into the very soil of our human experience. It became the bedrock of our personal and collective trauma. The echo of that first separation reverberates in our hearts. It shapes how we love, how we grieve, how we raise our young. We are born into a world already carrying this imbalance. The weeping of the womb of creation is heard in the cries of every soul longing for wholeness. It is a deep, resonant sorrow. Consider the dance of soulmates, the longing for the other half. This yearning is a direct reflection of the primal separation. We seek in another the missing parts of ourselves, the lost harmony, but when the models are fractured, when the masculine and feminine are at war, this search becomes fraught. We project our unhealed wounds onto our beloveds. We seek for that long-lost and violently separated half through boys' war zones. Love in its purity and respect for higher laws is sucked by vampires of jealousy, inventing more and more ways to keep the truth buried and making healing impossible by separating sacred masculine and sacred feminine, inventing distorted stories that man can know how it is to be a woman and woman how it is to be a man, like the last desperate attempt to keep the poison of lies and rot the society to oblivion, like Nazi experiment of souls, like mixing dogs, breed and disrespecting pure life without their distortion called progress. Progress of what? Dehumanization. The children arrive with open hearts, with souls tender and new. Only the pure, truthful soul is allowed reincarnation. They are the inheritors of this fractured legacy. They absorb the unspoken tensions, the unhealed traumas of their parents and ancestors. They learn love from those who themselves may be struggling with the shadows of separation. If their mother is disempowered, or the father is absent or wounded, the child's inner template for the masculine and feminine becomes skewed. They internalize these distorted models, carrying them forward into their own lives, into their own relationships. Thus, the cycle of trauma continues, a sorrowful lineage passed down through generations. The original wound between the sacred, masculine and feminine replicates itself. It shows up in families as dysfunction, as misunderstanding, as pain. Each generation unknowingly can wound the next unless the pattern is seen, unless the courage is found to stop the cycle, to look the trauma in the eye, to begin the hard, holy work of mending the ancient break, first within ourselves and then in our families and then in the world. When the threads connecting the sacred masculine and feminine are frayed, the tapestry of community unravels. One of the bitterest fruits of this separation is a stark and hollow individualism. The I swells to monstrous proportions, eclipsing the we. We are taught to stand alone, to compete, to achieve at all costs, often at the expense of others. The sense of belonging to something larger than oneself, to family, to tribe, to the earth withers. We become like islands, shouting across vast oceans of misunderstanding, forgetting the landmass that connects us all beneath the surface. This is a lonely kingdom. This sense of separation then turns its gaze upon the earth. She, the great mother, the source of all life, is no longer seen as sacred. She is no longer a partner in the cosmic dance. Instead, she becomes a resource to be exploited, a thing to be conquered, owned, and consumed. The wounded masculine, disconnected from its feminine healer, seeks to dominate nature rather than live in harmony with it. Forests are felled, mountains are scarred, waters are poisoned. This conquest of Earth is a direct reflection of the internal war, the desecration of the feminine principle within and without. With the loss of inner connection and outer harmony, beliefs harden. Wisdom, which is fluid and intuitive, gives way to rigid dogma. Ego truth becomes the only truth. Religions, spiritual paths, and ideologies, once meant to guide us towards unity, become poisoned by lies written with bribery of coins. Because boys ask sooner or later, and where is the mother? We cling to narrow definitions, forgetting that the sacred is too vast to be contained in any single vessel. This dogmatic brainwash cuts us off from the richness of diversity, from the learning that comes from embracing different evidence of witnesses. It is another wall built by separation. The cumulative effect of this multifaceted separation is a profound sense of alienation, a feeling of being adrift, unmoored. We become disconnected from our own pure souls, from the intuitive guidance within. We feel estranged from others, even those we love, forced to identify with the aggressor or die. And we wander the earth feeling like strangers in our own home. This is the deep malaise of the modern spirit. It is the cry of the soul suffocating under the weight of isolation. It is the ache for reconnection, for a return to the interwoven wholeness that is our birthright. Section 5, Reunion of the Soul's True Honor. But listen with the truth radar of your heart. This state of fracture, this pervasive trauma and separation, it is not the original truth. It is a powerful illusion, yes, a story woven from fear and forgetting. But it is a lie. This forced mirroring of the aggressor that stole sacred and poured poison on it, it is just a heavy cloak thrown over the radiant, interconnected reality of our existence. Deep beneath the layers of pain and conditioning, the truth of union remains. It is an ember that has never gone out. It waits patiently for our breath to fan it back into flame. The soul knows this. The pure self remembers. Within every woman, every man, there is a universe of earth and rain. They collect what is lost and try to preserve truth and ancestors' wisdom. She sings over the poisoned souls until they regenerate, until they live again, and him wielding the sword of truth, until he brings all into the light. This is the instinctual self, the keeper of the soul's memories. Together they know the path back to wholeness. Earth and sky whisper to us in dreams, in moments of stillness, in the rustle of leaves. What has been broken can be mended. What has been scattered can be gathered. This knowing is our true compass, always pointing towards reunion. Reunion is not a distant dream. It is not a fairy tale. It is the inherent, irresistible drive of life itself. Think of the river flowing to the sea. Think of the flower turning towards the sun. But always be aware of your humanity and responsibility to protect and care. Think of the way separated cells seek to rejoin. Life seeks wholeness. Love seeks connection. The universe itself is a dance of coming together, of creation born from the interplay of undistorted energies. The cure for our deepest wounds lies in remembering this fundamental principle. It is in aligning ourselves with this cosmic truth that will bring reunion. The healing begins when we dare to name the lie of separation, when we recognize the trauma not as our identity but as a wound to be tended. The cure is path to truth in the ocean of denialism and lies. By turning towards the pain, by understanding its origins in the primal fracture, we begin to reclaim our power. We start to dismantle the walls of lies, brick by brick. The truth is, we are not meant to be islands. We are meant to be a vast, interconnected ecosystem of souls. Reunion is our destiny. Section 6. The return of the loving mother. The first step in mending the primal fracture is the sacred act of restoring the mother. And feel the gentle whispers of our protecting Father. His guidance brings us back to rightful place and to heal the Mother Earth, to honor her wisdom, her power, her life-giving essence. This is the return to awareness that we are children, not the parents. The just mother, the earth mother, the truth mother, she who births, nurtures and fiercely protects all of life. Her voice has been suppressed for too long, her rhythms disregarded. Now we must listen, now we must make space for her return within ourselves and in the world. The restored mother embodies qualities that have been undervalued in a fractured world. Mother is intuition, the deep knowing that carry clean logic and clean karma to growth in truth. Father is strength in compassion, the ability to feel with and for another and to guide the wild in the mother. Earth is the cyclical nature of existence, birth, growth, death and rebirth. Father teaches us to honor these cycles in our lives, in nature. Earth is the fertile depth from which beauty and life emerge when loved by rain. Father is the fierce protector of the innocent and the vulnerable. How do we call our true parents back? We begin by listening to the quiet whispers of our own intuition, that gut feeling, that inner nudge to seek truth. We honor the cycles of our bodies, the cycles of the moon, the seasons of the earth. We make time for creative expression, for play, for simply being rather than always doing. We spend time in nature, walking barefoot on the soil, listening to the wind, feeling the heartbeat of the planet. We reclaim the parts of ourselves that have been labeled too emotional, not like a robot directive of the self-proclaimed generals. We give truth voice. We give truth sanctuary. We reclaim our souls. The mother's duty, when she is whole and honored, is profound. Mother and father nurture all children, human and non-human. Father teaches fierce love, the kind that does not shrink from truth but stands for justice. Mother holds the sacred space for healing, for the mending of wounds. Healthy parents remind us that Earth is a sacred home. Our responsibility is to care for it as it cares for us, not build monuments to bullies. Masculine is the guardian of the deep feminine mysteries, the wisdom of the body, the soul, the heart. Restoring Earth in truth is restoring a vital part of our collective soul. Section 7, Healing the Sky. Father, redeeming the masculine heart. Restoring the mother is essential, but the dance requires two. The primal fracture wounded the father. Sky deeply. His energy became distorted, brainwashed from childhood to manifest aggression, control, or emotional unavailability, and to fear the sacred feminine. It is crucial that we approach the masculine not with blame, but with a desire for healing and redemption, with truth, evidence, and data. The world aches for a healthy, conscious, masculine presence, a masculine that remembers its true strength, its sacred purpose. This is about healing men, about inviting them to reclaim their wholeness, their full, vibrant heart, and deny the illusion. The redeemed father is a beacon of conscious action. He is the protector, not the sociopathic dominator of judgment upon others, so he can avoid to look at himself. He provides material sustenance, but in a way that brings emotional and spiritual safety. His wisdom is born of experience and empathy, not brainwash of poisoned dogma. He stands in partnership with the feminine. She honors his power. He holds her gently, not to lose her rhythm. He is the mountain that shelters, the gentle rain that nurtures. Together, they are clear river that guides. Both embody integrity, courage, and accountability. He teaches by example, showing what it means to be strong, yet gentle, powerful, yet compassionate, and above all, honorable and protective. How can men and all who embody masculine energy embark on this healing journey? It begins with the courage to face the truth, the whole truth, and erase the lies. To dismantle the armor of ego and connect with the full spectrum of emotion. It involves rejecting the poison and models of masculinity that equate power with dominance and feeling with weakness. It means finding true purpose and repair the brainwash of distortion of money manipulation, acquisition and conquest. Connecting with deepest truth within, with healthy core and with the natural world can guide this process along with fact checkup and evidence of cause and effect. It is about rediscovering the sacred masculine that lives within, the one that yearns for soulmate and meaning and takes responsibility for his actions. The father's duty when his heart is healed is to stand alongside the mother in co-creation, to guide with strength the sacred dance of protection of all that is sacred, to build with mother clear guidance rooted in love and wisdom, to champion justice and fairness, to honor the earth and all life on it. Sacred masculine and feminine become true guardians, fostering growth, encouraging potential, and ensuring that the structures of Earth family support life and well-being of all. Redeeming the father is not just for men. It is for the healing of the world, for the restoration of balance that benefits all beings. Section 8. Lighting the path for the young. Initiating a new generation. Our children, they are the fresh clay, the new song. They arrive into this world carrying the immense potential to live beyond the primal fracture. They are the hope for a future where the sacred dance is natural, unforced, but they cannot find this path alone. We, the adults, the elders in training, have a sacred responsibility. We must light the way for them. We must initiate them into the true stories, the ones where masculine and feminine are honored partners, where the earth is revered and where connection is the highest value. Initiation in this context is not about harsh trials, it is about soulful guidance. It means teaching children the language of the heart, the wisdom of intuition. It means showing them the beauty and strength in both the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. We share the old stories, the ones that remember wholeness. We help them see the interconnectedness of all things, how the river needs the rain, how the bee needs the flower, how people need each other. We nurture their innate creativity, their wildness, their unique spark. We teach them to listen to the earth's heartbeat, The sacred duty of parents, and indeed the entire community, is to model this healed way of being. Children learn more from what we do than from what we say. They need to see us striving for balance in our own lives. They need to witness healthy relationships, respectful communication, and the courage to face our own shadows. We must provide them with a sanctuary of love and safety, where their questions are welcomed, their feelings are validated, and their spirits are encouraged to soar. We must protect their innocence while nurturing their resilience. Creating new rituals can be a powerful way to initiate the young. Rituals that celebrate the changing seasons, that honor both sun and moon. Rituals that mark passages, that acknowledge feelings, that build community. Simple acts like planting a garden together, sharing stories around a fire, or expressing gratitude for the gifts of the earth can be profound initiations. These practices weave a sense of belonging. They instill a reverence for life. They plant the seeds of a future where the dance between the masculine and feminine is one of joy, respect, and boundless creativity. Section 9, the dance renewed, embracing union, choosing our future. So we stand at a threshold, you and I. The echoes of the primal fracture still resound, but so too does the insistent whisper of reunion. The healing of this ancient wound is not a passive waiting, it is an active choice, a conscious turning towards the light of wholeness. It is a daily commitment to mend the broken threads within ourselves, in our relationships and in our world. This is the great soul work of our times. It demands courage, it demands perseverance, it demands love. Imagine the world when this dance is renewed, when the sacred masculine and sacred feminine move in harmonious rhythm once more. The creative energy unleashed would be immense. Solutions to our deepest problems would arise from this balanced perspective. Compassion would guide our actions. Wisdom would inform our choices. This is not a utopian fantasy. It is the potential that lies dormant within us, waiting to be awakened. The path to this renewed dance is not always easy. There will be moments of stumbling. The ego, money, and mercenaries might freak out and go into peeping surveillance sociopathy. Old patterns will try to reassert themselves. The shadows of fear and separation are tenacious. But we are not alone in this. The wild soul within us, La Loba, guides our steps, the ancestors who yearned for this healing walk beside us. And every act of courage, every moment of conscious connection, sends ripples of healing through the collective. The rewards are immeasurable. A deeper sense of peace, more authentic relationships, and a world that truly nurtures all its children. The final choice, then, lies before each of us. Do we remain tethered to the old story of separation, of trauma, of fear? Or do we bravely step onto the dance floor of union? Do we pick up the drum and the flute and begin to play the song of healing? The future is not something that merely happens to us. It is something we co-create with every thought, every word, every action. Let us choose the dance, let us choose love, let us choose to mend the primal fracture and restore the sacred harmony for ourselves, for our children, and for the generations yet to come.